I gather close, ye seekers of the ancient light. Ye've boarded treasures in the Torah, where every verse be a current, and every mitzvah a breath, a wind, filling the sails of the faithful. On this voyage, we chart Perashat Lech Lecha, the call that split history's sea in two. The Almighty whispers across the deep. Lech Lecha, mi arzecha u mi molad, tech u mi beit avecha el haaretz asher arecha. Go forth from thy land, from thy birthplace, and from thy father's house, unto the land that I will show thee. Hashem calls not only Avram, but every soul that's lingered too long in the harbor of comfort. Every soul that has reclined too long, to follow him, to tear the anchor from the known and trust the unseen wind. There be a tale of a man who lived the call of Lech Lecha. In his own age, a soul who left his harbor with more Torah than gunpowder. His name was Rabbi Samuel Palashe, a Sephardic Jew, born among the exiles of Spain, raised under the shadow of the Inquisition. Scholar and seaman both, his heart divided between parchment and tide. When the edicts of Spain forbade his people to pray, Palashe fled across the sea to Morocco. But exile did not silence him, nay, it refined him. He became ambassador to the Dutch Republic, standing before kings with a rabbi's dignity and a sailor's fire. And when Spain's tyranny reached even the coasts of Africa, the good rabbi took to privateering seasoned Spanish galleons to ransom Jewish captives from the chains of empire. Aye, he fought beneath the same heaven he studied by candlelight. To some he was a pirate, to others a saint, but to Hashem, a man who obeyed the voice that said, "Go forth." Like Avraham Avinu, he left the land of his fathers with no promise but the presence, and by faith alone he carved his legend upon the waves. When you lift anchor in faith, you cease to be a refugee and become a voyager. The Midrash teaches that the Holy One spoke in a voice that reached only Avram, for faith begins with the courage to heed the whisper none else hears. Vayalech ke'asher deber ilav Adonai. And Avram went as Hashem had spoken to him. The first mitzvah he kept was movement. When Hashem commands, he offers no compass but his presence. A man should always go forth from place to place to seek Torah and growth. Stagnation be a kind of exile of sorts. but the sea ne'er grants safe passage without a test. Famine struck Canaan. Kings rose against him. Strife brewed between his herdsmen and Lot. The voyage of his faith sails straight into the gale. Still, the patriarch built altars where others built excuses. Each altar a logbook entry of trust in the storm. Vayiven sham mitzbiach la Adonai ha ne'era Eliav. And he built there an altar unto Hashem, who appeared unto him. Every step Avraham took below awakened a light above. His journey weren't measured in miles, but in obedience. Many a sailor prays for calm seas, but faith be proven when ye hold the wheel through the waves' roar. Hashem calls not to comfort, he calls to covenant. And when the storm had spent its fury, Hashem spoke again. Shana Lecha, Ureah min hamakom asher atasham. Lift up now thine eyes and look from where thou art, northward, southward, eastward, and westward. Avraham's treasure weren't gold, nor conquest, it were relationship. He walked with Hashem as a friend walks with a friend. In the measure a man walks with God, God walks with him. He who left all behind found himself held by the Eternal. What ye surrender to Hashem returns to ye sanctified in meaning. Every soul in every generation hears its own Lech Lecha. The words may differ, but the call be the same. Leave the harbor. Leave the comfort that's kept you small. Vahalekta, be dravav, and thou shalt walk in his ways. No ship was ever built to rest at dock, and no soul was made to rot in safety. Faith begins not with the map, but with the notion and with the motion. Hashem charts the course for those willing to set sail. For the past several years, I myself have been like a ship resting at the dock. You see, the last voyage I sailed in ministry waters was through rough seas that left the sails torn and the hull bruised. It was a hard passage full of loss and learning. When I finally reached safe harbor, I dropped anchor and swore I'd not set out again. There had been mutiny aboard, hearts I trusted turning against the helm, words sharper than cutlasses, and gales that near tore the mast from its base. So I told myself, let me just die here on the shore. I've had enough of storms. And that's all right, mates. Sometimes after navigating through squalls and hurricanes, we need time to mend, to patch the sails, repair the hull, and to let the salt be washed from our wounds. But eventually the ship calls again. The sea begins to whisper, and the wind reminds us we were made to move. Likewise, Hashem in his mercy allows us seasons of rest, times to recover from the voyages that near broke us. Yet he does not leave us anchored forever. In his time, He bids us walk the gangplank once more, to voyage out, to leave the comfort of the dock, and to trust him anew upon the waves. When man begins the journey, heaven completes it. Mates, the Torah ain't just telling us what Avraham did. She's asking what we'll do. It's easy to read this voyage and clap from the dock, saying what faith that man had. But the Torah don't want spectators. She wants sailors. The Torah wants sailors. Avraham Avinu stepped into the great unknown with naught but the Almighty's word as his chart. He didn't wait for certainty. He walked until certainty followed. And so it was with Rabbi Samuel Palache, the pirate rabbi. He too sailed into uncertainty, exiled, hunted, mocked. Yet he took his Torah with him wherever he went. He taught upon the deck, speaking over the crash of the tide. He brought souls from the sea to the sanctuary. Call him pirate, call him rabbi, call him mad. But Hashem called him faithful. So what about you, mate? What harbor holds you fast? What fear keeps your sails furled? Maybe the Almighty's been whispering your own Lecha, to leave what is familiar, to step into obedience that feels too vast, too uncertain. But know this, every legend of faith began with a trembling step. Avraham left the home of his father. Samuel Palache left the chains of exile. Both found their names written not in sand, but in eternity. So raise your sails, crew of the covenant. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to move. And if you steer by Hashem's compass, the same hand that guided them will guide you too. May the wind and your sails be filled with Hashem's righteousness, and may the evil urge plunge straight into Davy Jones's locker. Veruach mitz Adonai temale et, mishanecha vechayetzer hara yishalak limzalot yam. And the spirit of Hashem's righteousness shall fill thy sails, and the evil inclination shall be cast into the depths of the sea. Next voyage, mates, we sail into the fires of Pereshat Va'era, the furnace and the fourth figure. We'll witness the hospitality of Avraham, the judgment of Sodom, and the trial that forged faith into iron. Sharpen your souls and ready your hearts, for the next tide tests every man that calls Hashem his captain. Until next week, go forth.